Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because I'm finally back from vacation and I am so ready to make more videos. In fact, with the news that just came out this morning about how Xbox is laying off thousands of people, I think it's safe to say we have content for days. However, that Xbox video is gonna have to wait till tomorrow because today I wanted to talk about the Nintendo lawsuit that is coming from Brazil. Now, before we actually talk about the lawsuit itself, I want to talk about the series of unfortunate events that have led to this point. So, as you probably know by now, especially if you've been following gaming news recently, Nintendo is no stranger to anti-consumer, very questionable, borderline illegal policies and practices, especially recently with the launch of the Switch 2. They're charging you upgrades for games, which, to be fair, is not new to consoles, but it's still a scam nonetheless. They became the first company to charge $80 for the base version of a game with Mario Kart World. There is literally a button on the Switch 2 Joy-Cons that does not work unless you pay for Switch Online, that being the game chat button. So literally your hardware is getting locked behind subscription services now, not just software. And yeah, it just seems like Nintendo has had nothing but bad press. Don't get me wrong, the Switch 2 has been very successful, unfortunately, but the discourse surrounding Nintendo has been overwhelmingly negative, not to mention the recent Mario Kart controversy, which has caused the game to get review bombed on Metacritic. Then, of course, you have the game card system, which has been a massive failure so far. And even though the Switch 2 hardware is powerful enough to run a lot more third-party games, and the third-party support is much better for the Switch 2 this time around, third-party games are pretty much bombing outside of Cyberpunk, which I guess isn't the most surprising thing because, you know, most people are using the Switch as a secondary console, and they've probably got all their third-party games on like a PlayStation, an Xbox, or a PC. So why would they play them on the Switch? But who knows, maybe Black Ops 7 will end up selling well. I mean, maybe, probably not, but we'll see. But yeah, Nintendo has just been shoulder deep in controversy, basically ever since the reveal of the Switch 2. Obviously, before that as well, but now it's at an all-time high. And then just a couple days ago, which is originally what this video was going to be dedicated to, Nintendo confirmed that in Canada, they would be making price changes. Let's go ahead and read the official statement. Pricing for the original Nintendo Switch family of systems and products in Canada will change based on market conditions. These include Nintendo Switch, OLED model, Nintendo Switch Lite, physical and digital Switch games, and Nintendo Switch accessories. Other Nintendo products, including Amiibo and Nintendo Switch Online memberships, will also experience price changes. Please note, this pricing change does not apply to the Nintendo Switch 2 system, accessories, or software. Pricing information specific to the Canadian market will be shared on the Nintendo Canada website on August 1st. Now, basically, translating this means that prices are going up. Now, why is everybody assuming automatically that prices are going up despite them not actually saying that directly? Because they said prices will be changing based on market conditions. Anytime a company says they are changing their prices based on market conditions, that means it's going to be an increase. Not to mention, if they were dropping the price of stuff, they would have just come right out and said it, because that would have been great publicity. But yes, you heard that right. They will be not decreasing, but increasing the price of not the current hardware, but the 7-year-old, not even 7-year-old, excuse me, the 8-year-old Switch hardware. Speaking of being old, we are over halfway through 2025. We are closer to 2050 than we are to 1995. I'm sorry, I just felt like making somebody feel old. Anyway, back on topic. Am I the only one who finds the way this is worded, like, really weird? So, digital Switch games will be getting a price increase, and online memberships will be as well, but it doesn't apply to the Switch 2 system, accessories, or software. So then, is Switch Online gonna get the price increase for the Switch 2 as well, or will it just be for the Switch 1? I'm assuming it'll also be for the Switch 2. And then, does that mean that, so Switch 1 games are getting the price increase on the Switch 1, but will they also get the price increase on the Switch 2? Because those games are also Nintendo Switch 2 software, unless they mean that, like, the $15 or $10 upgrades won't be getting a price increase, but the base game will still be. This is just like very confusing and I don't like it. Here's a better solution. How about you don't increase the price of 8-year-old hardware in games? Remember back in the day when game prices and console prices went down as time went on? And now we are living in an era where the Xbox prices have increased as time has gone on, the PlayStation prices have increased as time has gone on, and now the Switch prices are increasing as time has gone on. Not in every market, at least yet, but Canada is probably their testing grounds for what they could potentially do to their bigger markets. Now, all of this is very bad, obviously, but the one thing I haven't mentioned yet that is just the cherry on top, which is literally making entire countries take legal action against Nintendo, is their garbage new EULA policies. Now, there's really two parts to this new policy. The first part, and this one isn't as relevant, but I just like to bring it up, is the fact that Nintendo is putting in their policy that you are not allowed to sue them. This is literally like that Disney Plus thing where, what was it, like the guy died at Disney World and the wife tried to sue Disney, but Disney tried to argue that because she signed up for Disney Plus and it said like in the sign-up agreement that she couldn't sue them, that there was nothing she could do. Like, I understand there being liability waivers and whatever, right? And I fully understand that, like, if somebody's hacking or like doing something actually illegal, then companies can ban them for that. And then obviously you're not going to sue them after you did something blatantly like illegal or against their policy and then got banned for it. But not allowing people to file a lawsuit against you at all if you agree to the terms and conditions is ridiculous. In fact, let's go ahead and read the official statement. This arbitration provision precludes you and Nintendo from suing in court, having a trial by jury, or participating in a class action. You and Nintendo agree that arbitration will be solely on an individual basis and not as a class arbitration, class action, or any other kind of representative proceeding. You and Nintendo are each waiving the right to trial by a jury. Basically, if you have a problem with them, you're not allowed to sue them. They just want you to talk to their customer support so they can say no. Which honestly reminds me of this scene from Regular Show.
So what can I get you?
The death sandwich.
To receive the death sandwich, you must first sign this waiver of death.
Yeah, sure, let's
why
do
not?
it.
Look, I know it wasn't the most well put together meme, but come on, like, am I wrong? If you buy a Switch 2, it's literally like signing a contract saying you can't sue me. Which, I'm no lawyer, but you can't just say you can't sue me. You have to specify the cases in which you can't be sued. You can't have a blanket you can't sue me statement, at least in America, which hopefully we get on suing them as well soon. Just hopefully none of the people in America who are gonna be suing them have Switches, because otherwise they're screwed, I guess. Like, imagine the US government tries to sue Nintendo for being shady as hell, but then, like, somebody in Congress owns a Switch or something so they can't sue them. Oh, man, I'm just kidding. Everybody in Congress is too old to even know what technology is. But yeah, the second part, which is the main focus of the Brazil lawsuit, is the fact that Nintendo is being unbelievably restrictive with what third-party stuff you can use on the console. And if you dare use a third-party accessory that they don't like, they will brick your system entirely, and you can only use it offline, which takes away a good portion of its functionality. Let's go ahead and read this article to give some more context. Brazilian Protection Agency deems Nintendo's EULA abusive towards customers. Nintendo has maintained that the provisions in question, which were added about a month before the Switch 2's launch, were put in place against anti-piracy measures. Nintendo warned players it could brick their Switch or Switch 2 consoles if any unauthorized modding had been detected, and the nondescript language used in the EULA was likely put in place as a catch-all that could avoid technical loopholes that potential pirates could use to sidestep any specific regulations. The official notification has reportedly been sent to Nintendo on June 26, 2025, and the reports state that Nintendo has agreed to officially respond to Procon SP's legal concerns within 20 days of that date. Meanwhile, the license agreement's language language has caused other problems in the used console market, as customers have been warned against buying used Switch 2 consoles due to the possibility of Nintendo having already rendered them permanently inoperable. While the popularity of the Switch 2 is evident in Brazil, some of the provisions of its end-user license agreement have reportedly caught the attention of Procon SP, the Sao Paulo, I hope I'm saying that right, based branch of Brazil's Consumer Protection and Defense Program. As pointed out by Technoblog, Nintendo maintaining the ability to terminate user accounts to render its console permanently inoperable without giving a valid reason is a violation of the nation's Consumer Protection Code, section 8.078/90, which under its own language seeks to meet consumer needs, to respect their dignity, health, and safety, to protect their economic interests, to improve their quality of life, and to ensure transparency and harmony in consumer relations. Another supposed legal clash reportedly raised by Procon SP is the EULA's provision prohibiting consumers from filing lawsuits against Nintendo, which, can I just say, unfathomably based Brazil. I really do hope the European Union and the US can get in on this as well, because they are 100% correct. This is absolutely screwing over consumers without any valid reason. These terms are too vague, and I'm just gonna say it, there is almost no good reason a company should be able to fully brick your console. Now, if they want to ban your account because you did something wrong on the account, then sure, that's one thing. But bricking the hardware that you spent your money on should absolutely be illegal. Because guess what? If I bought a Switch 2 and then tried to use like a MIG switch, for example, and I got banned because of that, I don't get my money back or anything. I literally just wasted $500 and now have a brick of a system that can only play stuff offline. Which, if people were using MIG switches only for piracy, then sure, maybe they'd have a reason to do it. But MIG switches are not only for piracy, they are used by average consumers to place multiple games onto one card and would allow them to have backups in case anything went wrong. But because the potential for piracy is there, Nintendo's just like, nope, you can't use it at all, which is complete bullcrap. This is like shutting down emulators because there's the potential for piracy there. Oh wait, Nintendo is doing the equivalent of throwing a flashbang into a room with 99 innocent civilians and one criminal. At the end of the day, people are still gonna find ways to pirate games, and now they're gonna go extra out of their way to make sure they can do it just to spite you. And you're hurting the vast majority of people who use the MIG switch for perfectly legal reasons. The amount of control Nintendo is trying to exert over people's products that they bought is actually kind of scary. I don't know who the hell they think they are, but they are not gonna get away with this. I hope to God more governments step in and do something about this. And even if they don't, guess what? Consumers are still gonna find ways to get around this. Nintendo is literally trying to make it so that you don't even own your hardware anymore, and that just can't be allowed to happen. Then again, it does make sense because Nintendo is literally run by somebody with the last name Bowser, so of course they would be trying to be as evil as possible. I guess what else were we expecting at the end of the day? But yeah, anyway guys, with all that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said in the intro, I'm sorry I was gone for like a week now, dear God. But I'm back and I'm gonna be cranking out videos. Like I said, we're gonna talk about the Xbox situation tomorrow and tonight on stream, so be sure to join us for that. And who knows, I might talk about the pirate software situation, because I've been seeing people have still been getting good views, even though the news is kind of a bit older at this point. So I don't know, let me know if you'd like to see a video on that. So yeah, with all that being said, be sure to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more. Join us every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, including tonight, for Salt streams, except tonight is probably going to be at 8:30, but whatever, join us either way. And join us every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for gaming streams on the gaming channel, and I will catch you all next time.